For 99% of human history, the sun going down was a death sentence. No lights, no locks, no walls thick enough to matter, just darkness and everything living inside it. And yet, somehow, we survived. Not by fighting the night, but by doing something far stranger. Something we've almost completely forgotten how to do. Picture it. Not a campfire in a movie. The real thing. 200,000 years ago. A small group of humans, maybe 15, maybe 20, pressed together in the dark. No walls, no doors, just a thin ring of firelight. And beyond it, nothing. Or worse than nothing. Sounds, movement, eyes that catch the flame and vanish before you can look directly at them. This was every single night, for your ancestors, for thousands of generations. And here's the part that should stop you cold. They weren't hiding in silence. They were talking. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes, people whose lifestyle mirrors our ancestors almost exactly, found something they didn't expect. During the day, conversation was practical. Complaints, gossip, arguments over food and work, but at night, something changed. The subject matter shifted almost entirely to stories. Not survival tips, not warnings, stories, myths, legends, tales about ancestors, spirits, moral failures, cosmic origins, story after story, night after night, for the entire span of human existence. Why would a species fighting for its life every single day spend its most vulnerable hours telling stories? That question is stranger than it sounds, and the answer is darker than you'd expect. Here's what almost nobody talks about. Night wasn't just dangerous, it was psychologically unbearable. Modern humans, even with electricity, security systems, and locked doors, still feel a primal unease in true darkness. Now remove all of that. Remove the walls, remove the lock, remove the guarantee that morning will come. For early humans, night wasn't a break from danger. It was danger's home turf. Predators with far better night vision, rival groups, cold, hunger, and worst of all, nothing to do but sit with your own mind in the dark, waiting. That waiting should have destroyed them. Human brains, left alone with fear and silence, spiral. We know this now from isolation studies, from solitary confinement research, from people trapped in extended darkness. The mind doesn't calm down. It escalates. It invents threats. It amplifies dread. So how did a species with this exact same brain survive hundreds of thousands of nights like this, without collectively losing its mind? This is where everything changes. They didn't fight the fear. They outsourced it into narrative. Storytelling wasn't entertainment. It was psychological infrastructure. When your brain is left alone in silence, it panics. But when your brain is given a story, a structure, a beginning, a middle, an end, something remarkable happens. The fear has somewhere to go. Anthropologist Polly Weisner spent years studying the Ju-Huansi people of the Kalahari and found something extraordinary. Nighttime storytelling wasn't just common. It functioned almost like a nervous system reset. Groups that told stories at night showed stronger social bonds, more cooperation, and, critically, more tolerance for people who had wronged them during the day. Daytime was for conflict. Nighttime, through story, was for repair. Let that sink in. The very ritual that helped early humans survive the terror of night was also quietly rewiring their entire social structure. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. Here's what should genuinely unsettle you. The content of these stories almost always involved the same three things: death, moral punishment, and the supernatural. Why? Because night was when the boundary between the living and the dead felt thinnest. Ancestors, spirits, judgment. These weren't abstract religious ideas invented later by priests in temples. They were survival technology, a belief that something is watching, some ancestor spirit, some moral force in the dark, kept individuals from wandering off, from acting selfishly, from breaking the fragile trust the group needed to survive until sunrise. In other words, the fear of being watched in the dark may be one of the oldest psychological tools our species ever built. We didn't just fear the dark, we built gods out of that fear, and then we used those gods to keep each other in line. And this is where the story stops being about ancient humans and starts being about you. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. You still do this. Every night, you still lie in the dark, and your mind still reaches for something to hold on to. Except now, Instead of ancestral spirits and oral myths passed down for 10,000 years, you reach for your phone. Same behavior, same ancient nervous system, different fire. The scroll, the video, the story that goes on just one more episode. Psychologists have a name for what's happening in your brain in that moment, the exact same mechanism that made your ancestors gather closer to the flame and demand another tale before sleep. Your brain, alone in the dark, doesn't want silence. It wants narrative. It always has. You are not addicted to your phone because you're weak. You are wired by 200,000 years of nights spent in genuine mortal terror to crave story the way your body craves food. The device changed. The hunger never did. But here's the part that should really disturb you. Ancient storytelling had a boundary. It ended. The fire went out. The story was told once, maybe twice. Then sleep came, because sleep had to come. Tomorrow required your strength. Our version has no ending. There is no fire that runs out of wood. There is no elder who says, "That's enough for tonight." There is only an infinite, algorithmically generated stream of narrative, tuned by machines that know exactly which stories trigger your oldest fears and which triggers your oldest curiosities. We built a machine that perfectly replicates the psychological function that once bonded tribes and calmed nervous systems around a fire. And then we removed every natural limit that used to make it healthy. Your ancestors used story to survive the terror of night. You may be using story to avoid ever truly facing yours. So what did ancient humans actually do at night? They sat in genuine, life-threatening darkness, surrounded by everything that could kill them. And instead of falling apart, they turned to each other and to narrative. And they built something almost unimaginable out of pure fear. Meaning, bonded tribes, shared morality, religion, identity. Culture itself, arguably, was born in those firelit hours between sunset and sleep, which means the scariest thing about ancient night was never really the predators. It was the silence, the isolation, the unbearable weight of a human mind left alone with nothing to hold on to. And if that's true, if that fear is old enough to be written into your nervous system, then maybe the real question was never, what did they do in the dark? Maybe it's this: if you took away your phone tonight, every story, every scroll, every distraction, and left you alone in true silence, with just your own mind and the dark, would you survive it? Your ancestors did. The question is whether you still could.